So time for another look back at the worst things I've reviewed. I've been doing this every 3 years since 2015, but given that I hadn't been reviewing as much in the last 4 years, I decided to hold off a little bit until this year. And I guess it makes sense, this is also the 10th anniversary of the first list. And it will also probably be my last. I honestly didn't even really expect to do a fourth one of these, but let's give you one more. So this will cover everything I did post that Train Songs video, so anything post-female dating strategy. Although nothing from lists or those Disney videos I did. And once again, I will say at least one good thing about everything on this list. So let's begin. These are the top 10 worst things I've reviewed. Part 4. Number 10. The Apparition. Spoilers, most of this list is going to be things I reviewed in 2022. It just so happened I reviewed a lot of really bad shit that year, but The Apparition barely ekes out Wonder Park for the number 10 spot. This is one of the most generic horror movies I've ever seen. It's dull, it's cheap. Every single scare feels like the filmmakers saw Paranormal Activity or Insidious or The Grudge and said, oh, we can do that. The two leads have no chemistry, and while the actors are fine for what they have to do, I'd still say Tom Felton is the best actor in this movie, which is probably why he's not in it much. I'll say the direction is at least competent, except for some editing that goes on way too long. And there's a few scenes that have some decent atmosphere, but it's so boring. It doesn't have build-up like other horror movies. It'll just go from 0 to 100 and then back to like 10. The characters are idiots. It gets all artsy in the last act and then gives us the poster for the ending. Like, they spoiled the ending of the movie on the poster. It has shockingly bad effects for a movie without many effects, and it has a horrible soundtrack. It's a horror movie with like one legitimately creepy moment, and that's it. And I can certainly see why it has a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Your house killed my dog.
Number 9. Loquisha. This movie could have worked. There is a world where this premise could have been funny and satirical. Even if it was written by a white guy, this could have worked. First of all, actually dub his voice with an actual black woman. Don't fucking try and do a black woman voice. You're terrible at it. Also, don't make Joe sympathetic, or at the very least, have him learn something. Don't just end the movie with him getting everything he wants. And don't have a black woman say you, a white guy, are a better black woman than me. That ending legit shocked me. I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, okay, it's a little tone deaf, but I'm sure he's in the movie, he learns something and realizes he's doing something bad, and no! Again, the movie ends with him continuing as Loquisha while also getting to be himself. But even if you're one of those people who wants to defend it because it's angering the people you hate, this still sucks. It's not funny. It's boring. There's not even that much humor in it. It's mostly just telling its story straight. And the story it has is contrived. It's not well made. There's continuity errors everywhere. And the whole thing is built around a father-son relationship that is barely focused on. And the advice he gives ranges from basic shit to legit harmful. Some of the performances are okay, and like I said, Mara Hall did get some legit laughs. And I genuinely want to believe that this was made with good intentions. While it was problematic and came off worse than it is, I want to believe that he had good intentions. But good intentions or not, the movie he made is a boring, cheap mess.
Well, I got some men out there, if they knew where I was, would want to do some nasty-ass shit to me. And maybe to you fellas, too.
Number 8. Ghosts. Yes, the Out of Jimmy's Head episode. You know, I remember watching some of this when it was on and just sort of thinking, whatever. I certainly don't remember hating it. But this episode was so bad, it took me 2 days to watch. It's only 22 minutes. By the time I got like 14 minutes in, I was so bored, I shut the damn thing off and came back to it the next day to finish writing. I won't speak for the whole show, but this episode specifically is trying to do what other shows of the time, like Ned's Declassified and a lot of the Dan Schneider stuff did, where it's basically a live-action cartoon, but it's done so terribly. It's slow, it's badly directed, and shockingly cheap. The fact that they had the CGI catch-up is one thing, but the weird camera angles feels like they didn't have a tripod. The editing is awful. I still can't believe they messed up the mirror scare, one of the easiest things to do. The animation is cheap flash, and it never actually feels like the animated characters are interacting with Jimmy, and I don't understand the rules because while they say they're all part of his mind, they can interact with the real world. The acting from the kids isn't good. Most of the humor misses because it's just annoying. The twist on who the ghost is so obvious that I genuinely thought the characters knew that before it was revealed that they didn't. This episode is pathetic. Besides a few decent laughs and a decent twist with that Frankenstein monster, this has nothing going for it. And while a lot of people hated the show because it was a live-action sitcom airing on Cartoon Network, let me just say, if this episode aired on Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, it would still suck.
Hey, you're making an impression. Now offer to help her. Chicks love that.
Number 7. Bobbleheads the movie. I remember when I first saw this. It was New Year's 2021 and I was drunk doing my guilty pleasure of watching cheap kids movies on streaming services, and I saw this. And even though I was so intoxicated that I could barely fucking stand, I still knew this movie was awful. This movie has such little stakes. There's no stakes. A majority of the movie is just filler, which might mean something if the movie had some interesting characters or decent animation, but it doesn't. These characters are boring, the animation is so mediocre, the jokes suck, and for a movie called the Bobbleheads movie, there's only like 4 or 5 bobbleheads. And the fact that their heads keep bobbling shows this was a bad concept from the start because after a while it gets kind of nauseating. The voice acting is pretty damn good though. They did not have to try, but they did, and I commend them for it. And I really have nothing else. This is one of the most lame and pointless movies I have ever seen.
The Bobble Creed is simple. Bobbles, bobble, and bring joy.
Number 6. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire for Xbox. I have such nostalgia for the first 2 games on PC, and so when I got this for Christmas all those years ago, I was so excited. Thinking of playing all the Triwizard tasks and going around Hogwarts on a new console just seemed so cool. And then I played it. The thing I remember about my first playthrough is that I remember it being so damn easy for like 90% of it, and then I had to fight Voldemort like 20-some times because it was so hard to figure out how to defeat him. And at the time, I tried so hard to convince myself it was good because how do you mess up a game based off Goblet of Fire? The answer? Have most of the game be about collecting shields. Not going around Hogwarts finding shields, no, only going around like 4 locations. Hell, the next game actually kind of was like just going around Hogwarts doing tasks, and it was pretty fun. But just going to the same 4 or 5 ugly locations gets boring after a while. But even the Triwizard tasks themselves are lame. They're too easy and over in a few minutes. It barely has anything to do with the movie or the book. It has all of like 6 characters and takes out vital plot points. Even as a game itself, it's so boring. The control is very delayed and you fight the same enemies over and over. The graphics are fine and the voice acting is pretty good. I still can't believe that wasn't Dan, Rupert, and Emma as the main trio. But this not only remains one of my biggest disappointments, but in my opinion the worst licensed Harry Potter thing ever released.
Whoa! Oops! Sorry, Harry.
Number 5. Wild Zombies. Finally, something I didn't review in 2022. I genuinely wanted to give this a chance. I really did. Because when I watched the first episode back in 2015, I was in a very bad state of mind. So I figured maybe watching it while I'm in a better spot would make me a little more lenient. And I'll say, I don't think this episode is as bad as that first episode, Deconstructed. It's worse. Deconstructed at least had a plot. There was a goal the characters were trying to accomplish. This episode is just the characters turning into zombies, going around. Stumpy finds them and they're just random doing stuff, and then once the clock hit midnight, they turn back. And everything else is just as bad as the first episode. Cheap animation, bad voice acting. I still can't believe how bad the actress who played Flips was. I have never seen a voice actress give a worse performance. And it's so freaking boring. There's not even that much skating in this one, so if you're in it for that, you're not gonna get much. It's not even a good Halloween episode. On the Halloween scale of all the episodes I reviewed that much, it's second worst, only behind Power Rangers, and that's only because this episode mostly takes place at night. And just like Deconstructed, the only positive is one small chuckle when that one kid is being chased by the crows. That's it. I'm planning a best and worst Halloween episodes I reviewed in the 2020s come October 2029, and unless I get a big surprise, I don't see this not being the worst.
Stuff ain't worth the fleas on your butt.
What you got against the fleas on my butt?
Number 4. Inappropriate comedy. It's movie 43, but worse with less effort and lower production values, and only a few small chuckles to save it. Moving on.
Go ahead. Make me gay.
Number 3. Myra Breckenridge. This film goes from a fascinating train wreck to an infuriating mess. It is really only half a movie since a good portion of it are taken up with clips of other films. And those clips are pretty much the only source of humor this movie has because the actual movie is either boring or confusing. It's decently shot and has a few okay performances, but for like the first act, the only saving grace is that it is so inept that it's kind of fascinating. It's one of those movies where you just can't believe they're fucking up this much. But then it stops being funny and starts getting boring. And then it stops getting boring and starts getting infuriating. The main character is an annoying, pretentious psychopath who just happens to be transgender. But having her be trans gives this movie a very bad vibes. From her having a pretty predatory crush on another woman to sleeping with the male version of herself. This feels like something a TERF would make to make trans women look bad. And then there's the rape scene where the guy getting raped is played off as a joke. Like, haha, that homophobe is being anally raped. Isn't that funny? Movie, you have no right calling anyone out for being a bigot, especially in this way. And then, as a final slap in the face, it all turns out to be a dream. This was one of the most unpleasant movies I've ever seen, and the only reason to watch it is to find out how not to make movies. Fuck this.
From a certain unevenly rounded thickness at the crotch of his blue jeans, it is safe to assume that he is marvelously hung.
Number 2. Fucking Luggy. This actually has some pretty decent animation. Not the level of big studios, it's still pretty clearly direct-to-video quality, but it is way better than a lot of other animated slop I've covered. So this movie gets this high mostly due to 2 reasons. 1, the voices. This has some of the most obnoxious voice acting I have ever heard. Besides Luggy herself, every character is so ear-grating to listen to. While Wizard So-So's was also pretty bad, I can mostly sum that up as just one guy, and I'm confident they were working with bad equipment. This had somewhat of a budget. Like, I can at least tell some professionals were involved. They had good equipment. There are a few films where I can say this was actual torture getting through, but this is one of them. It hurt. Like I said, it is so much worse to hurt my ears than hurt my eyes. I can watch something with bad animation but good voice acting, like, say, Rhapsody Kids, but this is just unwatchable or unlistenable, whatever. And the second reason is that there's absolutely no rules. I do not know if people can know that the luggage can talk. They will talk and move around people, but no one seems to notice except the cleaning dude. I do not understand how anything in this movie works. This was one of the most excruciating experiences I've ever had watching something for this channel. It's too long, and I am still convinced that if you told me to make a movie about talking luggage, I could make something better. Also, it's racist. Moving on.
Luck, have fun, enjoy your time. Good luck. We're dancing like we're done.
Number 1. Love at First Hiccup. I didn't have any expectations for this movie when I sat down to watch it. I was hoping for it to be similar to New York Minute and Sleepover, a silly adventure movie. At worst, I thought it would just be forgettably mediocre. And it turned out to be one of the worst movies I have ever seen. I'm not kidding. When this movie was over, I was sitting there like this. Like, it was so horrible to get through. It's hard to find a movie in which I hate every single character, but I could not stand a single one of them. Victor is that nice guy who thinks he's entitled to a woman because he's not an asshole, or at least pretends not to be an asshole, and the movie is completely on his side. Anya starts off as a brat who's mean to him, and then does a complete 180 and doesn't recognize any red flags. Also, I find it creepy that an 18-year-old is giving any chance to a 15-year-old. I'm sorry, there's a big difference in those 3 years. His two friends are the worst stereotypes of frat boys. Everything is a fucking sex joke to them. Peter's an asshole who wants to bang his cousin, and their two little brothers are going to end up in prison before they can finish high school. I loathe the message that you have to lose your virginity to someone special. Well, it's perfectly fine to want that. Saying that it ruins a woman or girl's dignity or whatever is just gross. But the biggest problem with the movie is that it is so fucking boring. It's so slow. Every joke goes on a minute longer than it should. The pacing is some of the worst I think I've ever seen, and none of the actors seem like they care. I hated this movie, besides a few, and I mean like 2 or 3 mild chuckles, a decent song at the end, and the fact that I can at least tell what's going on. This has nothing redeemable about it. Fuck this movie.
You have to do something that will really impress her.
Yeah, something to get her panties wet.
And that's it. And like I said, I probably will never do another one of these again. So, as one final gift, let's just go over the 10 worst things I reviewed since the beginning. Alright, at number 10, Alien Origin. Number 9, Let Sleeper Dogs Lie. Number 8, Luggy. Number 7, One Missed Call. Number 6, Foster's Goes to Europe. Number 5, Valentine's Day. Number 4, Love at First Hiccup. Number 3, Rapunzel. Number 2, Atlas Shrugged Part 1. And number 1, Balto, the Dingo Pictures movie. And that's it. So, my computer is really not doing great. I'm not sure when I'll get a new one. I'm really planning by the end of summer. So I'll probably only have one video out a month until at least October. I plan a few in that month. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. Oh, fuck it. Let's just forget the contacts. The jokes suck, and for a movie called The Bobbleheads Movie, there's